Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this CartoVista webinar online. My name is Danny Bouchard. I am the president and founder of CartoVista. Really excited to be here with you today. We have great content to share. But before we get started, I wanted to introduce myself and describe what CartoVista is. I personally have always had a passion for great looking maps that convey a clean, powerful business message. Geographic data can be so inspiring when it is properly designed. Better cartography and interaction with the user have always been at the center of what we do at CartoVista. We realize that the experience offered by GIS software out there is often not ideal. CartoVista is a response to our client wanting to create better interactive maps online and make better decisions. In the last 6 months, we've been really hard at work on software enhancements and are quite excited to have new partners and customers use our cloud platform, CartoVista Online. This includes GIS partners like Catalyst, PCI Geomatics, ICI Innovation, and Infosat, for example, in the remote sensing space. For example, we've been successful together with global leaders in the mining industry, such as Nalcor Energy in Canada, Pan American Energy in Argentina, for instance. We're helping them take information in the hands of technical staff to decision makers. In sum, today's web is an amazing opportunity to bridge that gap and think differently about how we work with data. To explore this, I'm quite happy to have our GIS sales manager, Alexa Gertin, joining us on this webinar today. Good afternoon, Alexa.
Hi, Danny.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on this webinar. It's not every day we get our president and founder here with us, so thank you.
My pleasure.
Yes, so everyone, today I'm going to show you how CartoVista makes it easy to reach your users with the most sophisticated web mapping features. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. As Danny mentioned, my name is Alexa. I've been working in the GIS field for about 10 years. I've worked for federal science departments, agriculture, as well as advertising research. All of these jobs required some form of GIS analysis. And if there's one thing that I found throughout my career is that it's difficult to find an online platform that's user-friendly, that I can share with some clients that aren't necessarily GIS users, show them some impressive maps and data, and really convey my mapping message to them. So today, I'm very excited to show you guys how CartoVista has revolutionized online access to data by creating impressive, user-friendly, interactive web maps. Now, before I get into my demonstration, I'm going to hand it back over to Danny to start us on a poll and take us through our schedule for today.
For sure. So here's a little breakdown of the agenda that what we're going to cover today at this webinar. So there'll be a quick introduction and poll. So we want to learn a little bit more about you. I'll turn the poll on. We get to answer a few questions. We'll get into Alexa's presentation. We'll also do a bit of a feedback session with the feature poll at the end to see which features are of interest. Afterwards, we'll look at the software trial, how we can help you, and talk about your questions and answers. So why don't we get the ball rolling? I will get the poll running here. You'll have a few minutes to answer those questions. You should start to see the questions on your screen right now. So I'm going to give yourself a minute to answer the questions, and I will happily share the results with the rest of the team. So please take a few minutes to go through those 3-4 questions, and I will share with the rest of the team. looks like just about 50% of our audience have already answered. We'll give yourself another 15, 20 seconds here. Results are coming in, so I don't want to cut you off guard. Okay, very good. So let me just share the polling results with every one of you. So Alexa, let's go through this. It looks like our audience have already got some web mapping solution out there. We've got just 67% of our audience already have a web mapping solution.
Right, yeah, and it seems like a lot are using, or a majority are using some open source QGIS. This could be, maybe part of our third question, where the drawback could be some, they're not cost effective. So it's interesting to see that.
Yeah, exactly. If we look at the drawbacks again, a lot of people think that the online mapping solution they're using requires some coding and programming. It could be a drawback. A lot of them may be thinking that it's too slow and there's limited data analysis capabilities. So thanks a lot for providing us with that feedback. This is very useful for us to get a sense of what's going on out there and how people perceive the limitation of their current solution. All right, so I'm gonna keep going with the presentation now, and Alexa's gonna take us through the software side of things. So Alexa, please, this is your time to shine.
Great, thank you so much, Danny. It's not uncommon to see those drawbacks there, being cost one of the big ones. That's what I experienced myself throughout my career. And it's a good thing to know is that CartoVista is, their packages are very customizable, and we're willing to work with you to, on your project needs and really customize your packages for you. So before we get into more questions and answers, I'm going to start us off by looking at our online portal. This is where all of your data, your maps, and will rest, and that you can organize them. You can manage your users here all directly from the portal. As long as you have your internet access, you are capable of accessing all your data and mapping. To get us started, I'm going to take a look at a municipal map of Chicago. Before opening it though, I want to check out a little bit of information on it. It's all just a click of a button away. The window here opens. You've got information on when it was created, who it was created by. You've got access permissions that you can manage, as well as a URL link that you can use to share with your clients or coworkers. Going to get into a little bit of the map exploration so we can show you a lot of CartoVista's map components. We're going to be taking a look at a municipal map of Chicago. As you can see, we've got all our map components loading up, as well as our large data sets. All of our data here is displayed on a custom base map created by CartoVista. As a subscriber, you will have access to actually create your own base maps for you if you need to create them, specific to branding or personal preferences. You're totally capable of creating your own base maps. We see we've got a polygon layer of our block groups in Chicago. And through the polygons, we can actually see our base map. This isn't a transparency. This is actually one of our many options to use a blend mode. And blend modes are great for when you need to layer multiple data sets on top of each other and not lose the value of your actual data. As you can see, we've got critical map components here. We've got our zooms, our pan, measuring, selection, as well as search by address. We also have over here on the right of the screen, we've got infographics that are connected directly to our data within the map. We have our layer control where we can turn layers on and off. And you also have options to add multiple base maps. If you need to use aerial imagery or a hybrid, you can do so, and also update the transparency here from the layer control. We've got our legend, which is completely interactive. You can, as you see me hover over the classification and ranges, you can see that they get highlighted within the map and also in the data table at the bottom. You can choose to include metadata so that if you need to convey any descriptions or messages to your users, include any sources for your data, you can do so through the metadata tab. We can explore our data here through the data table. You can select which layer that you're looking at. For now, we will focus on our block groups. If you want to sort your table, you can do so by simply hitting whichever column you need to sort by ascending, descending, back without a filter. We can add filters just by simply clicking the button. For instance, if I want to see a block group with a population that is greater than 1,000, I simply need to type it in, hit filter, and it will return all the records that match my filter. Now, I can't see where my record is, but if I simply double click, I will auto pan and zoom to the location. I can also gather information from my feature through the map and the feature. As I roll over the feature, you can see there's a data tip. You can add as much or as little data here as you want. This is all controlled by the map creator. If I were to click on a feature, you can also see an info window pop up here on the right where there is more information included. This is also all customizable by the map creator. Now I'm going to turn my filter off. It's very simple. Other functions that you have here in your data table, you can copy your data and export it. You can download it. You can check out some statistics. This is very useful if you need to grab some analytics here from all your data sets. This will automatically update too based on your selection. So let's take a look at how we do, how we select in different methods. If we use the toolbar here at the top, we want to make sure we're selecting on the proper layer. You can choose which one. For now, we'll stick with block groups. As you roll over any of the map components, you'll see that a tip pops up for how to use each of these tools. We can select manually, and I see that if I hit Shift, I can add to my current selection. So we can see that our table here is updating, and also our info charts on the side here also update. Okay. Sorry there, I just changed the zoom. Now we can also update our selection based off of a polygon. If I wanted to choose a rectangle, for example, I can choose to do so, and it will also update the records within the info table. You see I've got 4 records here, and also 4 record or 27, 27, and it updates as we continue to select. Now we've been looking at one thematic here in Chicago, and this is the population density. If I were to want to explore another thematic, I can do so by hitting the drop down here at the top. We've got our thematics organized by folder. You can choose to organize it however way you want. We want to think of our map here as almost like a library. We can, share stories, or you can organize by chronological order. This is all up to your map creators. So let's go take a look at another thematic, get a little different view and feel of the map. Right now, we're taking a look at emergency infrastructures in Chicago, and we can see that there are labels associated to each of our emergency points. As labels are completely dynamic, as you zoom in, the labels will automatically adjust based off of proximity to other features. This is a great feature for design and make sure that your map stays visible and you're getting all the information that you need based off of the zoom level and proximity. Let's say, for instance, I needed to search for a specific point based off of one keyword. I can go into the search function here at the top right corner. I select the layer that I want to search on, and I'm going to hit health center. And let's say, for instance, I want to find a health center with the term South in it. I just need to type it in, hit enter, and I get a return of all the records with the word South in it. Now, it's not in my map right now, but if I double click, I can auto pan and zoom to the specific record. We're going to take a look now at another thematic. We'll see some landmarks in Chicago. Chicago's known for its beautiful landmarks and history. So Here we've got our points. As I roll over the points, I can see that there's multimedia attached. CartoVista is completely compatible and in adding photos, videos, and web links. And if I were to click on one of the records, well, we see that I've actually have a couple records overlapping. So it returns all the records that I've clicked on. You can click and filter through these selected options, and you can see we also have the multimedia embedded here as well. We're going to take a look at one more thematic. We're going to look at arrests in 2019. This is a very large point data set. We've got thousands of records here, and they're all displayed as clusters. The clustering option is really great when you're working with large data sets because we've got thousands of records, and it would be a very busy map if we didn't have clusters. So if you see me, I can turn off the clustering, and we've got you can't really make sense. We lose our base map. There's so many points. So the clustering really comes in handy here to be able to make sense of our data. The clusters also automatically update as we zoom. They are dynamic. So as I zoom in, you can see they start to break apart based off of proximity to other like features. We can keep zooming in here. You also have the capability of clicking on the clusters. So if I were to check out this one here with 5 records, I've got the returned 5 records here, and I can take a look at what we've got in that one specific cluster. Now, I've just been showing you here the capabilities of preset themes that the map creator makes. However, if my map user wanted to create their own theme, they can do so. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I've cleared all my other layers so that we can start from scratch. It's as simple as clicking a button here. We just hit the plus, and you've got your options of which layer you want to create a thematic on. I'm going to select our block groups, and then you'll be returned with options for which data column you want to represent. I'm going to choose unemployment rate. You also have styling options, graduated symbols, gradients. I'm going to choose the default, which is color ranges, and I'm simply going to add it, and we see how fast we can create a new thematic. The thematic is also customizable. If I didn't like the color green, I can change that, or if I wanted to really make that high unemployment rate pop out, I can also choose to just change that one category. So now I can see my highest range is here in red. We know where the highest unemployment rate is. It's a great way to convey your data. You also have the options to change your transparency, the number of ranges included. You can even change how the ranges were calculated if you need to do so. We also have some preset colors and options for categorizing your data. Now, let's say, for example, I wanted to share this map with one of my colleagues, but I had some notes to pass back and forth. You have the capability of adding annotations. For example, if I needed to add a note with text, I can just simply say Alexa was here, and that will save here. We can add lines, which have a great tool of measuring. You can see you can measure out a specific line measurement. You've also got that option with creating an area. We can see what the area and perimeter is. You even have an option to add points manually or by address. You can just start typing in an address and it will return some addresses for you, and you can choose to add a point at that location or not. Now, if I wanted to save all this view and share it with a coworker, or perhaps just save it for myself, I can do so by hitting the save button. And this is where we save as a session. So I will call it Alexa's session. You can grant access permission to other coworkers or users. You can even modify permissions, or if you wanted to keep it private, you can just restrict the access. Very simple. Now, if I were to save and the next time I open my map, you will be prompted to either open a session or just view your map as is, or you can hit the drop down and open a session. You've also got the capability, if you wanted to share your map through a printout, you can save it to an image or an Excel document if you need to also export data. You also have a print layout function where you can easily modify your print layout. You can change, the sizing, and you can add your logo for branding. You have an option to set this up as a poster if you need to print as a poster, all extremely customizable by the user and for your specific project needs. Now, I've shown you what a vector map looks like, but CartoVista, of course, has the capability of loading in raster data. Raster data has become increasingly popular and accessible, right? So raster data is very popular and great to use for decision making. Here we have a raster geotiff format layer. It is of precipitation in Canada, and we can see that we actually have the ability to add it as a time series. So we can flip through our time series here just by clicking on the timeline here, or you can press the play button and it will filter through all of these views. This is a great way to show time and change. And I know, we've got a lot of geoscience professionals out there who currently use our grid features for their work. You can create a profile on a specific area in your grid. It's all interactive. As you can see me roll over the grid, the values update within my data tip. Now, if I wanted to select an area within my grid layer, it will automatically populate a histogram here at the bottom so that we can understand the statistics of this specific area of interest. We've got the area calculation, our min, max, and the range within our area. Our histogram is completely interactive. As you see me roll over the columns, you can see the highlighted regions within the area of interest. You can also have interactivity in your legend, this is great for presentations. If I need to show a specific area of interest through ranges, I can just roll over the legend and it will display in my map. You can download your histogram here through an export to image. You can do it to Excel or PNG. Our preferred and recommended method is through SVG because this format is great for embedding in PDF or on a website, as you don't lose any resolution when you zoom in and out. So it's great for your viewers. I'm going to take us now to one last map. It's another raster example. It is a digital elevation model in Gatineau. Gatineau is known for its hilly terrain, and on top we've got a raster layer, a vector layer of our bike paths, because we know that in the Gatineau Hills we've got some avid bikers. Danny is of course one of our bikers who loves to bike in the Gatineau Hills. So we're going to create a bike path for him, and hopefully it's not too hard on him.
Didn't know you were going to talk about me.
Yeah. Well, we had to mention you if we were going to mention the bike paths in the Gatineau Hills. So I can create a profile just by simply creating a line myself, and it will create a histogram here at the bottom. We can see the distance of our path here and the variability of what my path is going to look like. This one looks very easy, so let's try and find something a little bit harder for Danny. We can actually, this is a great way to interact your vector data with your raster data. I can select my vector line and it will interact and pull data from the raster. So whichever is under the raster that's underlying will populate. So here we've got a little bit more of a strenuous workout for Danny's bike path. We've got, it's 2 kilometers and we've got a wide range. We can see that up here he hits a higher height. So this is a great way of creating profiles from your raster data. Now I'm going to, now that we've shown you what the end user will experience through the CartoVista viewer, I'm going to take a look back at our portal so that we can see what you will get and how you can organize all of your information on our online portal. As you can see, we've got, your profile, notifications. I can see maintenance will occur at some point. You've got the option to select different languages. If you ever need a help center or a tour of this place, you can just click here. We've got excellent online resources that I'll show you in a bit. So we've already seen our map gallery. Our data gallery actually looks very similar. We can organize our data into folders. You can choose project specific or date, time. This is all up to you. If we take a look into one of these folders, we can see we've got our data layers. We have points, polygons. I can show you, we've got our geotiffs where we saw that precipitation and all that time. The time series, we have them all organized here in date by date and time. This is how the software reads and creates those time series. Adding data is as simple as hitting the Add Data button. You can add data tables as well if you need to. If you need to geo-reference, you can do so. It's very simple. It's as simple as adding your data table. And if you wanted to take a look here, we can actually see our data and you have a geo-reference button. So as long as you have your XY coordinates within your table, you can geo-reference your data. You also have the ability to manage your users. Adding and removing users is also as easy as clicking a button. We've got our add user button here where you can just input their name, email, and you can assign their role. So this has all their access permissions here. We also have a statistics window where you can manage and view what your users have been doing. Have they been updating maps? Which maps have they been viewing the most? You can gather all your statistics here and it's all downloadable. And now to create your maps, you also have to download our desktop software, which is as easy as clicking the button here on the bottom left-hand corner. It is quick and easy to use. I'm going to show you guys an example of our publisher now, where you will be creating maps. So here you can see that our server and where all of our data is stored is all connected, and it's easy to just drag and drop your data. Once your data is loaded, it's as simple as hitting a right click to manage all your properties on your data. You can manage your labels, your visibility ranges, interactivity, which is very important. All of this, nothing requires any programming or coding. It's just as simple as drag, drop, and clicking on your functions, whichever you need. At the top bar here, we see this is where we would configure our map. We create our themes, all your viewer configurations, what type of, coordinate systems are we looking at? You can manage your charts, your editing and everything from here. And once you're completed your map, it's just as simple as hitting publish and save to publish it to your server. One last thing I do want to show you, when you are getting started with CartoVista, we have a very wide variety of resources online. Our GIS team has worked incredibly hard on creating a library for us on, quick starts and how-tos. It's also so simple to use. You can enter a search term and, if I wanted to learn how to style my points, I can type it in and our library will return everything that has, point style as a keyword. And you can see we've got a very large library of help tools to guide you through your CartoVista journey. So it's very easy to use, quick, and I'm very excited to be able to speak with all of you one-on-one on how CartoVista can be your web mapping solution. So I'll pass it back to Danny now, and we'll get into a couple more polls.
Sounds good. Thank you, Alexa. This was great. So Let's do a quick feature poll here. I'll get the feature poll going again to get your feedback as to some of the features that seem to be most relevant for you. It's just a single question, so hopefully that should be pretty simple for you to answer. So we'll be back in just about a minute. So it looks like we've got most of the people have some time to vote on the most important features that seem to be relevant. So Alexa, let's go through what we see here. So let's see. I'm going to end the polling here, so share the results with everybody. All right, so we've got first thing, map quality and fast rendering. It seems pretty important. See what you guys are telling us. 76% of people think it's relevant. Why don't you take us through the second item, Alexa?
Yeah, of course. We've got feature activity, interactivity. This is a great tool to share information with people. I know for myself and a few others that having the ability to interact with a map really conveys your message and it really sits with them. So I've got to agree there that feature activity is very important.
Nice. On the fly thematic analysis, you guys are telling us that, just about 50% find that useful. This is good. One thing interesting, map tools, the ability to select data, inspect data is certainly something that is probably the most important thing. And I agree, because if we're talking to decision makers and try to convey a message, if people can get to the data they need, so much better. If we can do it as well in a dashboard view, giving them data tables and charts that are associated, again, you're telling us that this is of interest. This is good. Let's talk about raster analysis quickly, Alexa. We can see that just over 50% of our attendees think of that being a feature of interest.
Yeah, of course, it's getting more and more popular. People are using the raster data as it becomes more accessible and available. It's a great tool for decision making, and I think a lot of our users, as of recent, are really coming in needing the raster analysis. So I think it's a great feature that we've added in the last 6 months.
Exactly. We've also got point clustering with some pretty good interest. A lot of people are dealing with point data and they want to have a better way to display that. So that's pretty good. Multimedia, again, a third of the people find that of interest, which is good. Map gallery, again, the ability to organize your data, making it simple and deal with the permissions and the access is great. Talking about collaboration, sharing, and sharing your session is also something of interest. It looks like. So, thanks a lot, everybody, for taking the time to answer those questions. This is very useful, very good feedback for us. So, talking about collaboration, I guess the next step for us is to see how we can actually better support you in your software trial. If some of you have already gone through the trial or in the process or already trying CartoVista right now, if you haven't done so, you can do so by downloading from our website. At the top of the website, there's a request trial button. You can just click on it to get your own trial. You fill in the form and you get that going if you haven't done so already. We're also including our personal email here, Alexa and myself. Obviously, we are available to meet with you. If you've got a project in particular or you've got questions, obviously it will be our pleasure to do a consultation with you to discuss how you can potentially leverage our product. So anything else that we need to add here? Maybe you want to add something, Alexa, on that topic?
No, I'm just thank you for everyone for attending, and I'm very excited to speak with everyone on one-on-one about your projects. I find it very exciting to see how CartoVista can help in different aspects of the GIS industry.
Yeah,
I think we
exactly.
can get into the Q&A now if anybody has questions.
Of course, yes, that's what it's all about. So if you can see, the way it works is you've got the Q&A section in Zoom, so you should be able to just click on the Q&A section and start asking some questions. I can see that we already have some questions here from the audience. The first question that we get, and I invite you just to type in your question as we answer those live here. So the first question is what is the limit of features in a map? That's a really good question. That's a trick question. I guess it depends on the complexity of the map that you're working with and the data. But CartoVista has pretty high limits. We can work with maps of points that contain millions of points. Obviously, with clustering, we can't display 1,000,000 points necessarily in a view. You want to set it up so that it is, dealt with properly. So, depending on how you set it up, there's ways to deal with that quite efficiently. You can also do zoom layering so that your data can be set up with the proper zoom. So, there's several things that can be done. So the short answer is millions of features. If you're dealing with polygon layers, quite a high number of features can be supported.
We've got a great question here, actually, Danny. Does the data have to be stored on our servers, or can it be hosted externally like AWS, S3, and AWS databases?
Yes. So your data has to be stored on our server if you're using the online platform. On the other hand, if you are working with the SDK on our REST API, it's quite easy to start to interact and potentially connect directly with the CartoVista maps and make a live source. So with the out-of-the-box product, the data can be stored on your own. The data can't really be stored on your own server, but with the SDK and the REST API, it's quite easy to make a connection so it can feed data directly from your database. Great question.
Thank you, Danny. And how many fields of data are supported by CartoVista?
All right, so actually there's an unlimited number of fields you can put together. You can have as many fields as you want. Obviously, we have customers that have been using 300-400 fields in their data. It's really appropriate if you're dealing with a lot of statistics, a lot of information that relates, let's say, to demography or stats. So in this case, it can deal with that quite efficiently. So the ability as well to link data to Excel spreadsheet, from Excel spreadsheet to layers, is of really high interest. So that makes it quite simple to have, literally thousands of columns. There's no real limitation in terms of the number of fields of data.
Excellent. Thank you. We've got another question here. What languages are supported for the interface?
Yes, we have several languages supported. We do support, obviously, English, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and German. So there are all those languages which are, very, very nicely supported in the software. And it's as simple as just switching from one language to another in the interface. As Alexa was showing, you just pick your language of choice and the map loads in the appropriate language. Pretty simple to deal with.
Great. Thank you, Danny. I encourage anybody who has more questions to get them in now while we're here. And if anything comes up afterwards, you can obviously feel free to email us and let us know. We got a couple more here.
Yes.
So what storage space do you get with the software?
Yes. The storage space you get with the software is you essentially get 2 GB of storage, mostly for your vector data with the basic license of CartoVista. Obviously, the pricing and the way the software works, as you get with more users, there are more packages and more space becomes available. But essentially you start with a 2 GB, which is fairly low. But if you've got raster data, we also have the ability for you to increase and set up a package that is very affordable when it comes to storing your raster data. So, that is nicely taken care of.
All right, thank you, Danny. We've got a two-parter here. How many concurrent users map views do you support when accessing to the web? And can your maps be public or are they always user restricted?
Yeah, really good question, by the way. So how many concurrent users map views do you support when accessing a web map? We actually do support quite a lot. Our software is really designed to give you really good performance. We leverage the browser in HTML5. We have customers that have been put together, maps that have, over a few hundred concurrent users without any issues at all. So the performance of the software has been designed to deal with those cases. In the last year or so, we've been working hard at enhancing the performance with creating vector cache and things like that that are making that possible in the browser. So there's a lot that you can do there to reach that number of users. And since we are relying on the browser to do a lot of the heavy lifting, there's a lot that can be done. Can your map be public or always user restricted? There is an option in the portal to make your map public. So that's really user friendly and simple. So it's just a toggle that you can enable. When the map is public, then it's anonymous. Anyone can just log into your map and see the data. So it's your choice when you're deciding to publish if you want to make that map public or make it user restricted.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny. We got a couple more questions that I think will bring us right to our 45 minutes. What other analytical capabilities does CartoVista have?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Other analytical capability I can think of is we have something that hasn't been really presented today, which is composite variable scoring. So you can take several data fields and create a composite score out of it. So if you're doing geomarketing or scoring analysis, this is extremely useful. And actually that brings me to another point I wanted to discuss and bring to you guys or attendees, is there will be a series of additional webinars that we'll be putting together to talk about the features that are coming in CartoVista that are also existing. There's a lot of things that we weren't really able to show today because of the lack of time. So you can expect an email from us with more information coming in the upcoming weeks and several other webinars where we will be trying to making it more focused. One example is what we're doing right now with raster analysis. So there will likely be a webinar just on raster analysis and our tools. There's a lot more analytical capability that we are building now with time series and better time-based data, animation, all that stuff that we will be working on. Another one is the software development kit. We have a full SDK. So in case you want to customize CartoVista, it's totally possible to do so. So those are all things that we want to talk about with our user base. And if you want to learn more about it, this will be the seminar to do it.
Great. Thanks, Danny. Another great question. Can you geocode by address?
Yes, we have, Alexa didn't really quite get the time to show this, but there's a search by address with geocode by address right inside the viewer. So there's a search if you type in an address or a postal code or whatever. And we're using actually in this case here map services. You can also configure it with Bing, but our preferred method of geocoding is with here maps. We also include isochrone and all that stuff.
Yes, drive time analysis is also another analytical capability that we can put in there too.
Yes.
And one more question here. Do you support time series and vector data or only raster?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. That's one thing that's in development right now is the support of many-to-one relationship and time-based data for vector information. This is coming together. We have a lot of requests. A lot of our customers that are doing raster analysis also want to do time series based on vector data, imagine points. So this is something that is coming this summer in the platform. So hopefully the next few webinars will have those features in. So I urge you to continue seeing our and pay attention to our emails and our announcement for the next webinar.
Great. And where can I get support besides the Knowledge Center? That is a great question. You can always get support from us directly. You can email us. You can, contact our support directly through our website. We are always available, and we get back to you, within 24 hours.
Yeah, there's support at CartoVista.com. That's probably the simplest way. Just send an email if you've got questions. We also have info@CartoVista.com, which are 2 email that you can write to and send your questions along. Great. So I want to take a few minutes to thank everyone, all our attendees for joining us today on this webinar. It was great to get your feedback, great questions that are coming from the audience. We love to see that. That's the kind of feedback we want to get. So please expect an email and follow up with us, obviously, in the upcoming days and weeks. And hopefully we'll get together again soon before the summer's over. So happy summer, everyone. And thanks again for attending. Thank you, Alexa, for joining me as well on this webinar. It was great.
Perfect. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Thank you again. Bye.